We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies.
Welcome back to the Deal Junkies podcast. I'm not Gabe Johansson, but I'm here with Mike Nuss, Dane McKinney, and Jaryn Montgomery. Is that a pretty good Gabe intro?
That was good. No wonder you're so excited to take the reins on that.
Yeah, I bet all our listeners are confused. Gabe is not here today. That was Trevor.
This is Trevor Howard. We're here with our good friend, Jaryn Montgomery.
Yeah.
Gabe's good friend, Jaryn. He's sad to not be here today. He's sick. He has, I don't know what he has.
He's got a fever, I think.
He's lying. He just didn't want to hang out with us today. But
what is that? How does that reflect on his relationship with you, Jaryn? He doesn't even show up when he's
being sick.
Yeah,
I called him out this morning on it.
But anyway, so we're here with Jaryn. So Jaryn is one of our good friends. He's our client. He does a lot of deals, but he is a unique dude. So Jaryn's 23 years old. You've bought like $3 million-ish of real estate. You have like 10 units and a couple more underway. So we wanted to interview Jaryn to give people a good idea of how you can scale early on and that your age does not matter when you're buying deals. So Jaryn's got a pretty cool story. I didn't really want to host today, so I was really hoping Gabe was here. So we're going to let Mike ask a bunch of the questions, but I know Gabe likes to start off with, okay, in your short history, like 3 years ago when you were like 18 or whatever in high school, how'd you get started? When did you start thinking about real estate? How did we get to this point here?
That's great.
When I was like 18, I had a pretty good job, and I figured I should probably buy a house because I don't know.
You were always entrepreneurial though.
Yeah, I did like a pressure washing business when I was younger to make money. I don't know. I was always
so you grew up in Salem.
Yep.
Got into pressure washing at like 14.
Yeah, in high school I basically flipped stuff, quads, cars, a
Yeah.
bunch of different stuff, and then I started pressure washing, just anything to make money really. And then I had a good career going. Or start of a career. So
tell us about the flipping, because that's kind of interesting, because I see you'll send us a thing and be like, hey, I just made like 15 grand by buying and selling this watch or this car or whatever you're doing. How'd you get into the actual flipping of stuff and learning you could do that?
my dad would do it on the side a little bit with like washers and dryers, and that really showed me that you could do it with anything. And I was always into like quads and stuff, so I would always buy a quad and then ride it for a little bit and then sell it for more. And I was like, well, if I could do that with cars and watches and everything else, and I'm not really spending any money, and I get to enjoy all the cool things. So
Okay, so you're doing that during high school, and then you went to college, or you didn't go to college, or what'd you do?
I worked at a car wash in high school my junior year, and then my freshman year.
Was that Carl Be Clean?
I was going to ask
Carl
the same
McLean.
thing.
Oh yeah.
I had so many friends go through Carl McLean, work at Carl Be Clean.
Yep, and then it switched to Washman's,
Yep.
and then I didn't like it anymore, so I quit. And then I started working with my dad in construction. And he didn't want to hire me at first because he didn't want to work with family. And they said, I'll hire you, but you got to go buy a truck. So I sold everything that I had and bought a really shitty diesel truck.
Like you had to buy a truck for the company?
No, like I had to buy a personal truck so I could clean job sites.
Okay.
And I had to pull a dump trailer. So he was like, well, if you get a truck, you can work for me, I guess. So then I started cleaning up job sites for probably a year and a half.
Like you were physically going out and picking up all the stuff and doing the labor?
Yeah, I would basically just go around to each job site that we had at the time and clean it up every single day.
Okay.
What kind of job sites?
These are all small commercial TIs.
Okay.
I originally started, we were building the Dutch Bros on barns off of commercial. So that's where I started. I was there every single day cleaning it.
And did your dad pay you a lot because you were his son and give you a good job, or he just paid you like shit and made you go pick up all the junk?
No, I started at minimum wage and then worked up from there.
Okay. So how do you buy a house? What year? You were 18 when you started doing that?
That was right after I got that was probably 8 months after I had my license. So
Your driver's license?
yeah,
So you were 16, 17 years
16, 17, somewhere in there.
Oh, and started doing
so
that
was
while you
before
were in
had
high
a good
school.
job. You don't
Yeah.
count that as a good job.
No,
Because you said
really.
you had a good job and bought a house because you had a good job.
He got
No, once I moved up from the cleaning position, then I knew I was going to go somewhere. So
What was because now you're a project manager, right?
Yeah, so our company works a little bit different than a normal construction company. Well, not that much different, but we're a GC, so like 90 to 95% of the work is subcontractors. And most of it's just management. There's some things that we don't sub out, like hanging doors and all the miscellaneous stuff like that. But yeah, basically we have 3 guys that run jobs, and all 3 of us are laborers, foremans, superintendents, project management. So
Yeah.
it's kind of morphed into one role.
Okay. So you start making some more money eventually, and then you buy a house. Tell us like that transition. How'd you know to buy that first house? When'd you do it? What type of deal was it?
I was like, I think I started looking when I was 18. My uncle is a real estate agent, and I watched my dad sell his house to start the company, and he made some money off of it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I was like, well, I think like the tradition is you have a good job and then you buy a house. So I asked my uncle to find me a house to buy, and that's when interest rates were super low. And I heard everyone saying that you're basically borrowing money for free, and I was like,
Seems like a good deal.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we found a house in Jefferson, and it was a foreclosure. So I used my grandparents' money to buy the house cash, and then I used my dad's money to repair the house, and then I went to the bank and I refinanced, paid them both back, and had a brand new remodeled
Did you get
house.
some cash back with that refi?
I didn't, because I didn't know that was a thing at the time.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, he
Yeah.
left like
so this is pre-Trevor,
Yeah.
pre-Dane.
he left
okay.
like 50 grand in there
Oh,
that he
dude.
could have borrowed at 2 and a
Just think
quarter.
how many quads he could have been
Yeah.
flipping 4 quads at a time.
Yeah, I could have bought another house.
2 more.
yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, so at the time, were you doing that as, I don't even want to say as strictly an investment, but did you know what you were really doing, or you just knew it was a good thing?
I just knew that buying a house was generally
Just
a
seemed like
good
the
idea.
next step.
So
You're
why-
18 years old.
Did you think it seemed like a good investment idea or a good lifestyle idea to like attract a girlfriend?
I was always kind of interested in real estate, but not
a Gabe
for
question.
not for the girl reason.
It's a really good Gabe question. Thanks.
No, I knew a few people. Like Gabe was in real estate at that time, and I knew Gabe.
You knew Gabe because
Yeah.
your dad and
And then my ex stepdad was also a developer, and I saw him, and he kind of sat me down a few times when I was younger, and was like, "This is what I do. It's pretty cool. You could do it too if you wanted to."
how old
Yeah.
were you when you?
I was probably 17 at that time
Okay.
when he like sat down and showed me a project that he was doing.
Did
Did
he
that
tell
was-
you the numbers on it? At the time?
I think he did, but I didn't really understand them. 'Cause I didn't
Yeah.
even know like the world of development
Wow.
at that time.
You looked at
or-
that now.
To
you'd
be
probably
clear,
blown away.
No, Jaryn
Yeah.
still doesn't understand numbers, to be clear. This is just to show you guys you don't need to understand anything to buy deals. You
Just
can be
trust-
just
Trust
Very true.
Move forward.
Yeah.
Why? So why a foreclosure? Going back to your first deal. Why did you pick on that? Why did you go that route?
He was doing the thing where he had put me on his email list and had send me all the
Your
thing that
uncle?
met my
So
criteria.
your uncle was a broker.
Yeah, so I had a certain amount of money. Well, I
Mhm.
didn't really have any money, but
Yeah, OPM, a certain amount of OPM to use.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so he figured out this deal in Jefferson. It popped up, and he was like, "We should probably move on this. You'd qualify for a USDA loan. You'd have to put nothing down,
Mm-hmm.
even though we did a
Cash.
Burr method.
Yeah.
Technically, it didn't
Yeah.
really matter, but yeah, we found that house, and it was listed for like 170, I think. We made an all cash offer at 180. There was like 20 offers in the first 24 hours or something like that. And yeah, so they accepted our offer and then remodeled it and went and got my loan 3 months later, and then I lived in it for a year.
Of course you did. How much is that one worth now?
It's probably 415, 420, somewhere in there.
Still have that $180,000 loan on it.
Yeah, no. After construction, I got a loan for like 232 at
Okay.
2.25%
Oh, that's right. 'Cause you did the
interest.
rehab. Yeah.
Yeah, so I owe like close to 200 on it.
And you pulled a HELOC on that too, didn't you?
Yeah, I pulled the HELOC off it last year.
Before you moved.
Yeah, while he was living in it.
Yep.
Mhm.
and another HELOC we put on it later.
that
Yeah.
was
We'll talk about that later. It's pretty
a
cool.
thing. Yeah, that
Cool
was
deal.
part of the deal story. So what was next deal after that then?
I kind of paused and just worked a bunch, and then the next deal was pheasant.
Did you know you wanted to buy more deals though after that one?
Next deal was pheasant. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Wow, we've gotten you
Hold on.
into a bunch in the last. Good deal. No, I just didn't realize that was the next step. So how long did you want to buy another deal after that? You had to have realized how awesome that was at 18, and then
Yeah.
you were just
I didn't realize it in
spinning
like the
wheels.
first year
Mhm.
because I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I have a low mortgage payment. Like I don't pay that much to live in my own house.
Yeah.
It's a little bit outside the city, which is cool. But I didn't really like think about it. And then I don't remember what happened, but I was like, I should probably go buy another one. And so I'd like call Gabe and I'm like, hey, should I like sell my house to go buy more houses or should I just keep it? And he was like, hey, you could probably do a HELOC and just use that to go buy another house.
Mhm.
And then that was probably, that was a little while after I lived in it. And I kind of paused and didn't take action on anything.
Yeah.
And then I sat down with you guys and I was like, yeah, I really like buying real estate. It's
You had
cool.
already listened to you had already gotten some education at the point when you met with us, though, right? You were kind of spinning your wheels on not Bigger Pockets, but Tom Cruise and
Yeah, I was on a Section 8 train.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Section 8.
Yeah, I mean, I was always interested in real estate, so I was always like looking at I was always in like forums on Facebook for flipping and all that stuff, but I never really did anything until I sat down with you guys.
What's it like growing up I didn't even have a cell phone until I graduated high school, and it was like a Nokia little thing. So I didn't even know about any of these methods. None of this ever hit my radar until I was 30 plus years old.
Yeah.
So what's it like growing up? Is it like, so you're getting marketed to,
Mhm.
and you chose Section 8. What's that process like? Because what I always say, to give you some backstory, is real estate's a double-edged sword. It can get you really, really far in life, but it can just get you backwards because you just pick things that don't work, and we see it all the time. They spin out.
Yeah, social media is the same way. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of people out there selling an idea,
Mhm.
and it can be dangerous if you listen to the wrong people.
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So what was your process? What were you looking at? Why did you go Section 8? How did you come across Trevor and Dane? And I'd also say, at what point did you guys meet?
Yeah, so before I sat down with them, I was looking at all the stuff on social media, looking at all these posts. Oh, do Section 8. Oh, go flip a house. And I sat down with 3 people, a local realtor that I know that builds some stuff every once in a while. I sat down with Gabe. I sat down with one other person, and I was like, what would you do if you were in my position? I have some equity in my house. Where would you go from here with my skill set? And I basically took all of their knowledge, and then I realized one thing that stuck out to me that Gabe told me was like, well, when you're on the West Coast, you're going to get appreciation from real estate versus when you're doing all these Section 8 guys were doing like the Midwest where you're not going to gain that equity.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought cash flow is cool. And so I was like, oh, that'd be
Mhm.
cool to like go buy a $70,000 house and cash flow $500 a month or whatever. Seems pretty easy to repeat. And so I kind of just went from there, but I never took action on buying a house in another state because it was kind of scary.
Yeah. And did you know anybody like personally who was doing that? Because even now, I can only think of one person who's really consistently doing it in our market. That's buying in other markets.
No, I didn't know anyone that owned any other real estate outside of.
Salem. Or
But you bought a
the
course for
Valley.
it, right?
Yeah, I spent like $6,000 on a course.
So sick.
Did it teach you how to do it?
Yeah, it laid out pretty good steps, but I didn't feel comfortable enough to just go do it.
Why did you not feel comfortable enough to do it if they gave you all the information?
Being in construction, I like being in the project, and I feel like if I'm buying something that I can't see, it's a little scarier than if I'm gonna buy a piece of real estate in Salem that I can actually go physically see, figure out what it needs.
So it was just a mental block of I can't buy deals that I can't see.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think we all come up with excuses of why it's just misalignment. It didn't work for you.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to. With all the resources you had, just a dumb idea to not use what you have at your will to then go do something you would be forcing and creating new relationships and relying on other skill sets that you can do just makes no sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sit down with Gabe. You're like, okay, buying in Oregon sounds cool, actually.
Yeah.
And then what? And then what?
And then I really didn't do anything.
I
And
was
then
gonna
shortly
say.
after, I met with you guys.
I think I messaged you on Instagram
Yeah.
because I knew your dad was a good builder. I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
I messaged you because I
You thought he's not a good builder?
No, because I knew that like he was really good at whatever he did because MCG signs are kind of all over.
They're
and
like
they
Gabe.
have a good
They're omnipresent.
they have a good name. And I messaged you because I wanted you guys to build apartments for us. And then we met for coffee, and it obviously didn't go that direction yet. But yeah, but you were just excited to you probably didn't even know what we did at the time.
No, I didn't really understand it. I knew Gabe bought a lot of real estate, but I didn't really understand how. And then you guys, I met with you guys, and then we looked at the pheasant deal, and you were like, you could do this and this and this, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I learned about
So what's
we did a
this,
lot of
this,
work
and this?
for just creative deals and
Tell us
how to
about the deal.
structure.
We should talk about the deal in a minute. I want to go like high level on it though. Do you think that us shooting down, because when we first met, we literally said, shoot us every deal that you see that you think you want to do, and we'll like talk to you about it. And we probably turned down like 50 deals before Pheasant actually. You probably felt defeated for a little while there.
No, you guys got me really excited about buying another deal.
Yeah.
And so then I was constantly on Redfin and talking to other people that sold real estate, and I was like,
So when they were killing your dreams, they're pumping you up at the same time?
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I think that was a big thing for me at the start too, was being very, very clear about what kind of deal that I could buy when it came, and just being ready for that. Like, I think that that's why those Section 8 deals are so hard to do the first one.
Yep.
Because you don't have the blueprint where when something pops on the market, you have all of your metrics that you know you need to hit, and then the moment it's on, like, because now if we saw, like, there's apartment complexes that could pop on the market, and immediately, like, without, with back of the napkin underwriting, we would know that we would write an offer on it, right? And you just didn't have that yet. So I think that as a learning experience, like, coming back to it, you need to be shot down 100 times. Like, you need to look at X number of deals to know which deal you're actually gonna do.
Yeah, and what fits your end goal.
Yeah.
Ultimately. Yeah.
All right, we can hit Pheasant now. Trevor, ask him all your questions about Pheasant.
I don't think he answered all your questions. You asked him like 3 in one sentence, but you probably don't remember.
Yeah,
what
well,
they
I'm
were.
curious of that growth pattern. I think that's super helpful for the audience is, okay, so you're exposed to real estate. Your dad's friend is a real estate guy. Your ex-stepdad's a real estate guy. You buy a house, you pause. You go to look at another property, you kind of pause, you talk to them, you pause, you move forward. So you're kind of these fits and starts. Obviously, you're busy, you're working a lot, you're remodeling a house. Like, there's stuff that you're doing. So you've got the other. So what I get curious about actually is what I see from people when they grow is their level of curiosity really gets somewhere, and you get traction with that. And sometimes that's a relationship, sometimes that's a deal, sometimes that's whatever it is. That's where your curiosity level spikes. You don't know what you don't know. That starts your growth pattern and learning curve. So that you kind of segue to what really makes sense to go next was, so what's that relationship working with someone for the first time, right? Like, okay, you want to get into it. You're relying on brokers. You're not going to go start your own acquisitions company. You're like, I've got a job. I've got income. I'm going to trade my resources for real estate, but I'm going to use other people to help me do that. I loved how you were talking about underwriting, killing deals. One of my things is, if you're not killing people's dreams, or you're not smashing dreams, you're not doing the world a service. So at what point did you start getting traction, and that knowledge was getting into you, or you felt confident now kind of moving forward? If you just always rely on them? Is that your strategy? Like, I'm just going to rely on them and do everything? Or now are you taking the horns in what you do? I'm curious of where your thought process is with your team.
Well, there's a couple things. When I first met Gabe, he didn't have very much real estate, and I used to pressure wash his driveway for him and Jan. And then, like,
And he'd like seller finance that with you, or like buyer finance that?
he still hasn't paid it.
Service financer.
And then, like, 3 years later, he bought a GTR, and I was like, dang. And GTR was like my dream car at the time. I was like, so real estate could probably be cool. And then we also had the privilege of doing a lot of work for Paul Curley in his commercial buildings that he was acquiring, because we do small TIs for commercial. And so seeing him buy a bunch of real estate. And then the other portion of this is in my field of work, network and finding the right people to do the right job is super important. And so when I sat down with these guys, Trevor and Dane, and they had these big dreams, which is also another thing, is like, people our age don't normally have this idea in their head that they want to do all these and achieve all these things. And so when I sat down with them, I was super intrigued because I've always kind of thought outside the box a little bit more than my average friends.
Mhm.
Not average as in like bad, but
No,
your average person.
Yeah, the 5 people you hang out with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that got me really excited. And so once I met with them, I was like, cool. I got super excited about this. Started sending them deals. They started sending me deals. We started talking about like what I wanted to do, what my skill set was, what I could bring value into the deal. And part of that was building. So that's when we found Pheasant, and Dane sent me Pheasant. And I was like, yeah, that's super cool.
We got to stop just naming it.
So explain the deal.
Yeah.
Tell us
run
about
down
this
what
deal.
Our 50th deal that we looked at was.
So
You guys are so
Pheasant.
anxious. Are we done yet? Are we going already to deals? 20 minutes?
Well, I think we do have a number of deals that we'll talk about. This will
I'm
be a
just
good
kidding.
We
deal.
can go
I
through.
just
We can
give
go
you a
through
hard
all Jaren's deal history,
Yeah.
and then we should do some coaching because Jaryn has some struggles he's trying to figure out. So we should
Ooh.
have you do a live
All right.
coaching on the next one.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pheasant.
Yeah, start with Pheasant.
Yeah,
so
tell us about
what's
the deal.
what's purchase price? What's size? What do you like about it?
Pheasant was a 2-story, 6-bedroom, 3-bath. It's a pretty big house.
Yeah, it's like 3,200 square feet.
Yeah, 3,200 square feet. And we basically came up with a plan on what's the best bang for your buck. Do we rent it out as one big house? Do you remodel it? Do you split it into a triplex? And so ultimately we ended up splitting it into a duplex. So you have a 3-bed, 2-bath on top and a 3-bed, 1-bath on the bottom. And the cool thing about this deal is it came with an extra tax lot that was already separated.
I love this deal already. I'm
Oh,
so excited about this.
And
what,
so-
what year was it built?
Oh, I don't know.
In the 70s, I think.
Yeah, 1972.
It's not super old.
Yeah.
It was still in pretty good condition.
So easy
we
to
didn't have-
convert.
yeah,
Not
we
a
didn't
lot
have to
of-
do a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
Each
Even better.
lot-
Good deal gets better and better.
Each lot was just under a quarter acre.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we got into that deal, low money down. I used my owner occupied, lived in it for a little bit. And then once I was able to rent it out, we rented it out. And now we're splitting the extra tax lot again so that we can get 2 triplexes on each lot. So
Oh yeah.
You came in 5% down.
Yep.
Bought this house, turned it to a duplex,
yep.
got a free tax lot with the house. How much was that worth right when you bought it?
The tax lot?
Yeah.
I'd probably say unsplit is probably 175-ish.
Somewhere
guess.
around there.
Yeah.
So you could have put 5% down and then sold that tax lot and profited like 140 grand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then your duplex pays for the payment.
Yeah, so it doesn't bleed at all. Breaks even, if not cash flows, $100 or $200 a month.
Mhm.
And then
So you've got a $175,000 piece of gross land that you can cut into 2 and do 2 triplexes on.
Yep.
What city is it in?
Salem. It's right off Madrona.
I was gonna say like Radcliffe.
Yeah, Pheasant.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, right next to it.
How much
What
did you
did
pay
you
for it?
what did you pay for the lot?
What did you pay for the house?
The house.
$0.
No, for the house.
I think we paid $550
You were at
30?
550 with
550.
25,000 in
Yeah.
concessions, and then you paid $1 for the lot next door.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So they came unencumbered to begin with, the lot?
The lot was unencumbered. Yeah, still is.
nice. Okay,
Yeah, so
great.
2 separate closings. Paid $1 for the one, so that way we could go to the bank and leverage it.
Okay, so you're taking these lots to the bank because they're free and clear, and you're going to get a loan against them because you have equity in them to use as your down payment, essentially.
Yep.
Is what you're saying?
Yep. So we own the lot free and clear because we paid $1 at closing for it. So then we're able to take it to the bank and say, "Hey, I want to build something." They'll give us a construction loan, build it, and then have long-term financing on it.
And
So
then go
yeah,
ahead.
you turn 5% down into a duplex and then a free and clear lot that's going to build you 6 units.
Correct.
What are those things worth when done?
It's kind of hard to say based on how we build them, but Dan, you want to answer that question, brother?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well,
just
'cause-
just to paint a clear picture, it's more than $1 with that dirt. You got to design it. You got to
Yeah.
pay architects. You got to go through the entitlement process. So
Yep.
you probably have another 30 grand in outflow.
I think we're probably
Well, the land division too. So
60 or
50.
70.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. So you're 60 or 70 grand out of pocket. Now you that 175 is 2 lots. What are those lots worth together or each?
Those lots are probably each worth
'Cause-
175.
yeah, because they're
Yeah.
triplexes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got, let's say 150. So each lot's
Yeah.
worth 150 grand, but you have entitled projects, and so now the bank's going to look at it from how Dane's going to explain to it, and then they're going to reverse engineer what are your costs, what's the value, And you're walking in with so much equity, obviously 150, but they're going to give you even more equity because some of your costs that are already in it. And since it's a free and clear lot.
Yep.
Yeah. So you probably will be able to build for free. Like they'll fund everything through a construction loan.
Yeah, we should get most of our money that we put back.
Yeah. They get the 60 or 70 grand back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we're building it ourselves, so there's a little bit of advantage there because we can save some costs
Mhm.
rather than paying another GC to build it.
What do you think it costs to build these? Roughly.
I guess give layout too. What do the current plans show? Because it's not
I don't
truly
care
a
that much about
triplex,
that.
right?
So it's going to be 2 duplexes and then a parking lot in the middle, and then up front towards the lots there's going to be a single family on each side. So
Single family up front, duplexes in the back.
correct, yeah. So originally it started as 2 triplexes,
Mhm.
one on each lot, and then there was some retaining wall issues where we'd basically have to spend a bunch of money on retaining walls.
Yeah.
And
I was going to
So-
say, this isn't like the easiest place to build. It's
No.
kind of, there aren't road improvements. You have slopes. You probably have environmental, you do in the area environment. So it's not an easy lot to build on.
yeah, and then there was some cost savings with doing that for fire sprinkler systems and stuff
Yep.
like that. So we
Because
changed
now
the
it's not
layout.
commercial, they're
Yep.
residential.
So we changed the layout a little bit, and now we're doing the 2 duplexes and 2 single families up front. It'll probably cost. It's really hard to say, but probably probably 1.2 to 1.4 somewhere in there.
That's what I had.
And then
Yeah, 200 to 220 unit.
Yeah,
you know how to do all this already, or are you just winging it? Like,
I know how to do commercial construction.
because you keep saying TIs, and that's tenant improvements, right?
Yeah,
Or-
so commercial and residential are pretty different. A lot of people think they're the same, but once you get down to the brass tacks, it's not really the same. But in construction as a whole, once you know how to manage a project well, it's not. I don't think it's super hard to find the right people to do the right project.
So you've done tenant improvements. Have you ever built anything?
No, but I've worked on a couple projects. We did like OG on Liberty. I was part of that. I got to see how Dutch Bros was done. That was a ground up. So there are some bigger.
So you've never
projects.
built anything,
No.
and then you're gonna.
Are you
Personally,
judging him?
Who-
No, no,
who's,
no.
Your, who's your partner on this though?
Chad, my dad.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I would say this actually. A developer mindset, your skill set is what you're doing from a commercial TIGC is a developer mindset. You know how to read plans, you know how to negotiate contracts, you know how to meet people, you know how to build a team.
Yep.
Switching from that to building single family construction is what essentially this is not hard.
Yeah.
And the site development part's probably going to be one of the hardest parts. Like getting to framing will be the hardest part of all of that. That's really just hiring the right people. And guess what? You probably have those people already in your network.
Yep.
And it's a phone call. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is specialized. Here's how we're going to do it. They're going to guide you through the entire process. The bid will probably be higher than what you have budgeted, but you'll have other areas to save.
Yep.
So that's just part of it. I want to go back to the design. So that road that goes through the middle, is that like on both lots? Is that half of it's on one lot, half it's on? Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be a recorded easement.
Yep.
With a road, and then there's going to be parking on each lot, pretty much.
Mhm.
And then, so it'll be evenly split straight down the middle. They'll get their own parking with the road, with an easement recorded.
Are you guys still gonna gate it off?
I don't know yet.
Chad loves.
I have a
He
question.
wants to make stuff nice for the
Yeah,
tenants,
yeah.
which I do too, because
Yeah.
I don't like pulling up to a apartment complex. It's 30 units and it has 5 parking spots.
Oh,
But at the same time, you
Yeah.
have to be cost effective in the way you're building it.
You have to differentiate
Yeah.
yourself. And that's where we're learning in Portland because there's about 8 different builders that are doing what we do. And you can tell who gets the best prices, who's a volume, who is doing quality. Most of it, so you think of the units are cool. That matters, but they're so similar. Your
Yep.
designs, you're so limited in your footprints, you can't change the designs, and people are copying elements of everything. And so where you actually get your bang for your buck is spending 10 more grand in the lot to make sure the differentiation is right, and in the architect by getting the right site design.
Yep.
So you're going to be like 1.2, 1.4 million loan at the end with all your money out. So you're burying at that point.
Yep.
What kind of income are you going to get from these units?
I think they're 2.5s.
The
Or
the
the
duplexes
duplexes.
are.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I believe I don't know what the houses are yet because I
Right.
don't think we've really designed those, but they'll probably be 2 2s as well, or 3 2s.
They'll probably be 3 2s. They'll probably want you to scale that single family house is bigger than an individual duplex.
Yeah, which the duplex are going to be 2-story style
Yep.
because they're kind of narrow lots now that we split them. So I think you have 2 bedrooms and a bathroom.
Did you
upstairs.
say you want the houses to be 1 story? They're smaller up front.
We haven't got that far
Okay,
yet,
okay.
but I believe it'll probably be 1 story.
It'll be interesting to see what the code requires.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
okay, so they're 2.5s. So you didn't answer the question. Do you care what they rent for? Or you just know you're going to be good. What kind of math have you done on this?
Well, I think going into the deal with $0 and getting our money back from the land
Yeah.
development part of it,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, we're a GC, so we're going to build it for cheaper than other people can.
Yep.
And so rents
So-
are kind of important, but not super important.
Are you going to be able to get
nowadays.
12 grand a month in rent with the 6 units?
Oh yeah.
That's a pretty stupid question, huh?
No,
Yeah.
you certainly will.
Because a nice brand new 2.2, especially in that area, great part of town, unique product. You aren't going to have any competition for it. $2,500? Is that Salem? 26?
I bet on the 2s you'll probably be in the 22 range, and then
Okay.
if the house is a 3, and is there going to be a garage on the house, or are you going
I
to
don't
have
think
parking in the
so.
back?
Yeah, you'll
yeah,
just have parking.
yeah. So on the 3s, probably in the 2,800 range would be my guess. Trevor. You
Well,
could
what do
probably
you rent the
chime in.
house for that's a 3 right next to it that's a duplex?
We get 26 for the top and 24 for the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you
Good.
Dude,
So-
okay, so you're going to get more like 18 grand per month. Dude, this is going to cash cow.
No, I think you guys
Yeah,
are all
more
wrong.
like 16, 17 grand.
I'll tell you the real math later, but I have a question. So you've never built
feel
anything. You've never
offended.
developed anything. You're telling me you're going to go pull a $1.2 million hard money loan on this thing, and you don't really know what you're doing. You think you can figure it out. Are you scared?
I'm confident that I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Are you scared
No.
to do this?
No.
You're not at all? You're not nervous at all?
No.
How much does the project right next door and those comps help you in your confidence level? Does that matter at all? Or is you're like, hey, I know I can do these things. It just doesn't
I know I
matter?
can build them
Okay.
for what we need to build them for.
How do you know that? You have never done it.
Construction as a whole is like pretty simple once. you
So
boil it down.
okay, your personality and persona cannot go over the airwaves. So I want everyone in the audience to understand that, like, the words that you hear, if you were to read those words, would probably sound like kind of an arrogant.
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But you're not at all. Very calm demeanor. Like, you look like a humble kid. You're not overly confident, but you are confident that you can do this and that you have this skill set, and you're not worried.
Yeah, with the resources that I have around me and the little experience I do have, I feel like that I won't have a problem, and I don't want to bank on having a problem because I feel like that kind of sets me up for failure from the start.
So that's your mindset going in is
So I'd rather be
Yeah.
confident and mess up a little bit than say I'm going to fail at this and then really fail.
dude, I love this because, again, go back to alignment. So now you don't take any action because you're not in alignment with the Midwest and the Section 8 stuff. This one, you are fully in alignment because you are not caring about the details. And it's not that you don't care about the details. You're not putting value, unnecessary value in them because you know they're just little tiny obstacles that you'll overcome and you'll learn.
Yep.
I think it's really good for people to learn, like, that is when you know you're going the right direction, is you're aware of them. You're not being ignorant, but you're just know that answer will show itself when the problem arrives.
And I think some of that came from the first house that I bought in Jefferson is I didn't
Yeah.
know any of these loan products. I didn't know how to buy a house and then refinance it later. And I didn't know what it was going to cost really to remodel. I had a pretty good idea, but I think a lot of that came from that deal is I knew there was going to be some stuff that I didn't know how to do, but it would ultimately work itself out.
No, I think that's super important. And that was a lot of kind of what we talked about when we initially met you was you were really excited to do every deal. And it's like, you sent me storage units in Kentucky. Like, you sent me storage units in Kentucky in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky, which is already the middle of nowhere.
It's the double-edged
You
sword.
sent me apartments in small towns there. And it was like, the question wasn't whether or not we were sure that we could do that deal. Because it was like, yeah, maybe. Like, we'd be able to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
It was always we'd be able to figure it out. But that wasn't part of your end game. Because it was like, okay, where are your skills at? What does Jaryn's portfolio look like in 10 years? And how does it get where you want it to be? And I don't think it was ever going to be $1,070,000 houses in Kentucky. or
No.
Alabama or whatever it was. Like you knew where you were going, and you could have done the Midwest houses, but then if you saw pheasant, you wouldn't have been ready to do it.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't have had the confidence. You wouldn't have known like, okay, here's the thing. Here's what I do when I have a house and a lot next to it in a place that I know, where I know that I can go build it. And the confidence came from iterations of doing TIs in Salem already. Like you know how to build in this area, whether or not it's residential. You have confidence from practice.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean. At the end of the day, that's what it is. Yeah.
Keeping a timeline.
Yeah.
What are the risks that you see with that deal?
Not a ton. Always the city. City's a big factor when you want to build something.
Yeah. How long
So
have
they
you
could
waited
come-
on that?
They could come back and be like, "No, you can't build that there." But
So what happens if they say that?
going back to the right resources and the right people, say we bought that deal and then we went to the architect and said, we want to do this. What's the best bang for our buck? Will you draw something for us? And he said, they're not going to let you do that. Then we still have a $150,000 lot sitting there that we paid $1 for. So there's always some risk with buying real estate. I don't want to say
I've
there's
spent
no
money
risk,
like that,
but
gone down the permitting process, and you're like 30, 40 grand in, you're like, not going to do that.
yeah.
It's just part of being a developer.
In this case, I feel like we could get our money back pretty hassle-free.
So you had multiple exit strategies.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do this deal, and then this
Do you
gets
want to get into some other stuff? So I think I gave you a lot of it, which is the site. So your site's going to dictate a lot of what the city says to you for that location.
Yep.
And if you can't get an approval, now it's the infrastructure. It's going to be the infrastructure that is going to be the difficult thing to get approved and then build it.
Yeah.
So how are you managing stormwater? How are you managing sewer? All that type of stuff. Because if you're also trying to do parking now, you got a lot of non-impervious land, and
Yep.
so it's your site. It's really what it comes down to. So they may come back and say, well, you can't do that because you can't meet all these things, but you have a big enough lot. Keep it as one lot. You can do 3 units on the one lot. And so now that 1.2 to 1.4 is now 6 to 7. You still have the rent. You're still cash flowing. You're still getting all your money back out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you buy your first house at 19. How old were you when you bought Pheasant?
That was last year.
You were 22.
22?
Right.
Yeah.
So you bought last year at 22. So you
We didn't even talk about the original house.
Yeah, we
So
did.
You've
Keep going.
refinanced the original house, the duplex. Now a duplex. You converted to a duplex.
Oh, the original house. He had that 5% down loan, converted
Yeah.
to a duplex, just holds it on
And
the
you
debt.
just kept it that way.
Yep.
Mhm,
Okay.
Rents it out.
Yep.
So you do that deal
And
at
cash
20.
flow well, obviously. $5,000 a month.
Well, after he stopped living in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to settle for a while.
Yeah.
Well, and you did that on an 8% rate, 7% rate or something?
I think it was 7.6.
Yeah,
so
and
you can
it's still-
refi in next year or so.
No, you won't. He won't be able to though. So refine out will be hard because he
Because-
put 5% down.
No, he won't, because the rates will be less and he'll have equity because it's
The remodel.
Yeah. So in a year from now, you'll be a great borrower for that type of thing.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is, okay, so you've got a cash flowing asset that you're still holding in Jefferson. Now you got this cash flowing duplex. You've got this project that you're working on. That's where you're at deal wise, and you're 22 years old.
At that
23.
point.
23.
You're 23 now, 22
yeah.
at that point. So you're like, okay, this is cool. I want to buy more deals, or what are you thinking after that deal?
Yeah, pretty much.
So how do you buy your next deal?
What was the next
Yeah.
deal?
What was the next deal?
Lebanon?
House in Lebanon, and then yeah. No, this is awesome because this is like
A
a
lot of
very clear
deals.
path of how new investors get into it, which was the goal. On
Yeah,
this.
I was thinking about cash flow and like that I wanted some more cash on hand to go buy more properties. And so I started looking at flipping, and then I realized that it's a really competitive market where I want to do it at. And so I kind of held off on that idea. And then Trevor sent seller finance deal in Lebanon with low money down. And so I found a partner, once again, my dad. And then we went and bought that.
So tell us about that deal.
That was it's a 3-1. It's really a 4-1, but it's a 3-1 technically. 5% interest rate for the first 2 years, and then it bumps up to 6.5% the next 2 years, and then it bumps up to 7% the last year.
Okay.
And it was 20 grand down. And it has a bigger lot, so if we really wanted to, we could build an ADU on it in the future. So it's kind of a
You bought a house
play.
for 20 grand down?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
Who found you that deal?
My cool friend Trevor sent it to me and said,
But how'd
"Hey,
you structure the deal?
Why didn't you buy it?
Why didn't I buy it?
Yeah.
That's because I had no money at that
Trevor
point.
did
Okay.
not
And I
have
told
money.
him, you should buy this because I have no money right now.
Yeah, so for all the people out there, like, why would a broker ever give me a good deal? The way it always happens. Well, no, a good broker has lots of deals and they blow all their money
And-
and they can't always fund it.
Yeah, and specifically, like, we only buy 10 plus units right
Yep.
now. So all these deals, like,
Mhm.
they're literally too many deals and I can't buy them all.
Mhm.
But so how'd you structure this thing? How'd you put 20 grand down? How'd that work?
Trevor knew this guy and he structured the deal.
No, how'd you structured it? You bought it. How is the deal structured? You're the investor. Like,
So I went to my dad and I said, "Hey, Trevor sent me this deal. Do you want to be a part of it? We have an LLC together that we buy properties in." And he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And so we split the down payment. I put 10 or 12 grand in. He put 12 grand in after closing costs and such. Rented it out, and then we're just gonna hold on to it. Cash flows.
so you bought it on seller carry though? How'd you put 20 grand down?
Yeah, it was a seller carry.
Okay, did you do it on a land sales contract or a note and trust deed? What'd you do?
I think it was a note and trust deed, if I remember correctly.
I don't know, dude. I was just trying to get paid and I just slammed you in a deal. I don't know.
No, I remember vividly talking about it because there's one where he gets taxed more up front.
Yeah, it was a land sales contract.
Yeah.
Because
You did it on land sales?
Yeah, he didn't want to have to pay depreciation recapture, and so
Yeah,
In the
that's what it
event.
was.
yeah.
He wanted to reflect something in a certain way on his tax return.
Yeah.
But there's a rule that says you can certainly do that.
Everything's all interpretation, yeah.
Okay, so you bought this house with 20 grand down. That's pretty cool. And then you're like, I want to buy more, and you get more of the bug of real estate, or what are you doing at that point?
Yeah.
Are you out of money? It sounds like you have no money.
when you can buy a tangible asset for not a lot of money, then it kind of just makes sense. And that's one of the things like Paul Curley said that opened my mind up to real estate a lot, is when he was talking about how the government prints money and how you can buy assets that go up in value for not a lot of money. And I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool thing. I can't think of anything else that you can do that with. So yeah, when I bought that pheasant was the real eye opener, and then it was kind of from there on I just wanted to buy real estate.
Okay, so do you have money left after you buy that deal? You put each 12 grand into it, or 10 grand or whatever.
Yeah,
Are you
so-
making a bunch at your job now? You make like 200 grand as a project manager, and now you have a bunch of money to buy deals, or?
No, I make an average salary under $100,000, and
Okay.
but I had a HELOC from the first Jefferson property.
Oh, okay. So you used your HELOC to buy that next deal.
Yeah, and it's 7% interest only, so I pay like what, $80 to borrow 12 grand a month. So if I get that back in $200 cash flow or whatever, then it pencils.
Okay,
So you really spent $80 a month to buy a house.
Yeah.
so you at this.
Pretty sick.
I love how we can just reverse engineer math to make it just really simple.
So at this point, you have a bunch of real estate, kind of, and a bunch of debt. Does that not scare you to have all that debt?
It does, but not really, because you could have a bunch of debt another way, and it'd be worse debt.
Sure, but what happens if all your renters move out?
That would suck. But I'd probably try and find new renters.
No.
All right, that's a good plan.
But what if they trash the unit?
Luckily I'm a GC, so I can turn them pretty
What
cheap.
if you weren't a GC?
Then,
He is. That's why it's part of his investment strategy.
Yeah. then
Do
I
you
probably-
think that
What if they don't pay rent?
Then I kick them out.
What if they don't leave?
Like,
Then have
can
to go
you
through the
afford if they
eviction
don't pay rent?
process. Well, luckily with my business partner, we have a capital account, so
Okay. So
expenses.
you've got reserve.
If I need to come up with money, I could.
Can the cash flow from the other properties handle not getting rent from one of your units for a month or two?
Yeah, so like right now I cash flow $1,000 on my Jefferson house.
Mm-hmm.
So that covers
Yeah.
my portion of
Yeah. So there's actually some safety and
Expenses?
scale. So,
Yeah.
So building scale and actually global cash flow
yeah.
kind of helps.
Yep. So if
Yeah.
we do run into a problem on another project and I need to come up with half of it, then I have some reserves
Yeah.
for that.
And how much do you have on your line of credit? Do you have a bunch of money that you can pull on that on your first house?
The first HELOC was 90 grand.
And did you use all that, or it's just sitting there as an emergency fund?
I've used a third of it.
So you have a bunch of money sitting there.
Yeah.
Worst case, you
Yeah.
could pay for turns, you could pay for all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So you buy this house next. You're like, okay, real estate's pretty cool. I'm acquiring assets. I feel super cool because I'm young doing it. Did you have a big ego at that point? Because you bought more houses than most people buy in a lifetime, and you're 22.
I want to say yes, but no at the same time because I feel like I'm going slow and I could have more.
Oh, you feel like you're going slow to buy $3 million worth of real estate at 23?
Yeah.
Why do you feel like you're going slow?
I have a personality of like nothing or all in type of deal, which is why I think I kind of didn't do the Section 8 thing. And so when I start something and I want to do that and I'm passionate about it, I want to do it a lot really fast. So
I want to talk a little bit on partnerships, which we always talk about, but you did not want to partner when we first met you.
I didn't know.
Yeah. How did that switch flip for you?
Yeah, I realized you have to have money to buy real estate, and I didn't have a ton of money.
Yeah.
So
the OPM world came into you.
Yeah, the other people's money, and then my partner right now is on those two projects is my dad. So there's a lot of learning experiences that we get to go through together because he's also getting into real estate at the same time. But he also knows not a lot about, but he's smarter with finances than I am. So it's cool to see his point of view on the project versus
It's probably
mine.
smart you say that on this podcast. He'll probably listen to it.
Yeah, he will.
Is it real though? Is he really better with you than
Oh yeah,
finance?
yeah.
He's
Oh
really-
yeah, I'm
yeah,
terrible
he
with
tracks
money,
stuff.
and he's
Does he?
Yeah.
great at it.
Yeah.
He's more conservative too, obviously because he has a lot more to lose than I do.
Mhm.
So that's another thing is like when I'm 23 years old, like if I lost it all, big deal.
Okay, so you're 22. You have this huge ego. You say you want to buy some more deals. What do you do next after you buy that? Because you're at like $1 million of real estate there. How do you get to whatever 3 million now or wherever you're at?
Yeah, I basically just keep sending deals to Trevor and Dane in our group chat, and then
We tell you when one's good.
How
yeah,
active is the group chat? Is it like daily, weekly,
Oh, yeah.
hourly?
No, it's daily for sure.
Yeah,
Is it just real estate?
it's called Real Estate Slingers. Yeah,
Yeah.
Is that what you named it?
It's pretty nice. Yeah. It's got a good
we just
pic-
talk about
picture
Loves
nowadays,
named
yeah.
group chats.
It's my favorite. Don't to not pass by that, I guess. Now we're partners on
So,
projects too.
well,
yeah.
to back up, so you buying these deals is not because of us. We are one tool you are using, but you are doing everything on these deals. We are not doing these deals for you. We're giving you some advice and input, but this is you doing it. It's not us doing it.
yeah. So that's part of the team building and finding the right resources for the right things.
Mm.
I didn't have a lot of money. You guys were buying deals creatively, and so that kind of stuck out to me. And so,
To be clear, like you are the one coming up with the plan. All we're doing is giving you some advice on a few deals and how we think you should structure them. But you are the one looking at the deal, figuring out if it works. You're raising all the money for it. You're financing it. You're
Mhm.
walking through and coming with budgets. Like
Yeah.
we're not really, other than advising you. Like you're making it sound like us, but it's you.
thanks for the ego boost.
Well, becoming a real estate investor means a whole bunch of hats, right? And so you get to choose which ones you want to wear and whose aren't. And so you guys just wore that hat really, really well. And so you filled a service, right? He's doing all the deals, but you're fueling a service. And it sounds like probably one of the best services you guys fueled was pushing back on the stuff he was looking at.
No.
Right. And so you use them to focus yourself on the direction that actually fit you. And this is where brokers or real estate advisors or consultants, this is where good people, you recognize what they're good at their job. Not the people that are trying to sell you a fucking agenda, but it is, what are your goals? That's what I heard. This is the first part of your conversation you guys working together was, what are your skill set? Yeah. That's great over there in the Midwest, but what do you want to do? Yeah, could be a good deal, but what are you good at? Yeah, you could go buy that right now, but what can you use that money for, and how does that affect your goals? Yeah, that looks like a good deal, but okay, so how does that accomplish your goals? And so now you're getting laser focused, and now you're, okay, this works in taking action. But it sounds like after that seller finance deal, now your vision changed a little bit. Is that a correct assumption?
Kind of. I didn't know a ton about seller finance stuff.
Okay.
And so that was pretty cool to go through the process and learn how it works. The same idea of buying an asset with little money down is what originally got me excited about it. And I don't know, I have this dream of being rich one day, so figured real estate was a good way to get there.
So what do you do next after that deal?
Constantly just look for deals, figure out what I want to buy, what I can do better when I'm looking at deals. And I talked about flipping. I still always have an interest in flipping houses just because I have the background in construction, so I feel like it would fit my skill set, but it's also super competitive. But I think at that point you redefine your buy box a little bit and figure out what your actual end goal is. And then from there, we were just sending deals to each other, and I just wanted to buy more real estate. So
Your buy box has become, you'll still do flips, but everything you're doing right now is creative. So you bought
Yeah.
another deal out, and Hermiston was next, right?
Yep.
So talk on what Hermiston was, because you found that deal and structured the deal. You asked us questions about what to do, but you were the one
kinda.
who was
Trevor
talking.
structured a little bit of it with the broker, but
Oh, were you the one structuring?
Tell us about the deal. What is it?
I found this deal on Facebook, and I always look on Facebook forums because there's a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed kind of weird, but it was five units in Hermiston between 3 different properties, and a wholesaler was trying to sell it, and I emailed him, and Trevor was like, ask him if they'll do no money down. And so I emailed the guy, and he was like, yeah, we can't do that. And so we kind of went away from it for a little bit, and then we came back to it because it was still on the market, and Trevor talked to the broker, and the broker was like, this wholesaler doesn't have it under contract, so I don't know why he's marketing it. And so Trevor talked to the broker and figured out what they were wanting out of the deal, why they were selling it, what their motivation was. He kind of structured a deal. We went back and forth a little bit over the next couple weeks, and then ultimately we bought the deal, and we had to have, I think it was like 3% down for the total deal. And a lot of people in our industry want to buy real estate and construction, but they don't know how to. And so I have a lot of people that come to me and say, hey, how are you buying real estate? I want to buy real estate. And I knew one person that had some cash on hand that wanted to invest it. And so I said, hey, do you want to lend us this money to buy this Hermiston deal? And he did. So
What was the loan? What were terms on his loan?
$60,000, 10% interest only for 5 years.
Private money lending. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So then that was the down.
Yeah, you borrowed this money for the down payment.
So your fourth year,
Yeah.
you get to private. Your first non-family friends private money lender.
Yeah, we kind of structured the deal. Well, Trevor structured the deal, and
Mhm.
he was like, this is how much we're going to need. And I was like, well, I know someone that has some cash on hand that wants to put in real estate.
Mhm.
Let me ask him. And sure enough, he was
That's
like,
how
yeah.
it works. It's all it is you do deals, you get excited about them, you have conversations, those people get excited, they ask you how, and then all of a sudden an opportunity comes up that says, hey, that person asked me this question and these things match.
Yeah.
And then all you do is make matches.
Yep.
Yeah. I
And
love it.
I think that was one of the big things was when I wanted to start getting into real estate more after I sat down with these guys, is I tried to immerse myself in that world as much as possible. So I joined all the Facebook groups, and I started going to their meetups that they hold, and I
Mhm.
started talking to other realtors and other investors and telling people that I wanted to buy real estate, and they're like, yeah, we want to do that too. So
Yeah. To go back to this deal because
That's all you have to do. For anybody that wants to know, that's all you have to do. Go back.
Yeah. To go back to that deal because he's not giving you all the details and answering my questions. So this deal's cool because it was
really coy thing going on here. You know, I've never seen Trevor like this. We went out for drinks the other night, the three of us.
Heard about that.
Yeah, I liked seeing Trevor in a different light. Okay, sorry, go for it.
That was the whole story.
All right. So this thing was sitting on the market for 300 and something
Yeah.
days. They said on the deal, no seller carry, cash only.
The broker said that.
The listing said it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was sitting there for 300 days. So he bought this deal.
So but you still asked him if they would.
But yeah.
Her.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. I just said, why are they selling? What's this? Because he said, that, hey, potential seller carry. I read that. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Why is Jaryn lying to me?
that's because the wholesaler that was selling it supposedly was saying that they would carry. And so it was
Gotcha.
a really weird relationship between the broker,
But-
the wholesaler, and the actual sellers.
Yeah, I don't know all that stuff.
Okay, so
but
the wholesaler
whatever.
says potential seller carry. They're not even a wholesaler. They don't even have an escrow.
This thing's
so
just
you
on
use that
market
information.
for 300 something days. The cool part about this deal, he bought it for like whatever, 800 grand or $1 million or
Yeah.
something, 3% down, 3.5, something like that.
Yep.
3.5% interest rate on a 40-year amortization.
Okay, I don't care about
with a
that.
10
So
Oh, that's
I don't
all
care about
wanted
that.
to talk
Yeah,
about.
no. Okay, so you call the broker based off all this false information. Then she says, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who this person is. This is not in escrow. Seller financing is not an option. Go. What did you do to that?
I just wanted to talk about the amortization schedule and the interest rate.
No,
I don't care about any of that stuff,
No,
dude.
Mike's got a really the thing that changed and why
Yes,
Jaryn
what
is
changed,
successful
yeah,
now
yeah.
is because we came to somebody with a clear plan.
Yeah.
Trevor
okay.
said, "Here is our offer. This is how we buy deals. You don't sell deals that often."
So you want to?
So
He's glossing over all of the negotiation. Is that like? So you just talked to her and said, "Hey, let's just get this done," and she was on board.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you pitched an offer that made sense. That was a clear vision.
Yeah. Dude, I wanted to talk about, never mind. Let's
Okay,
move on.
let's go on.
More deals.
Sorry.
We don't want to talk about the same things.
It is
No,
kind of cool
I
that we
don't-
have
I don't
a
think you
40-year
should-
AM.
no, it's super.
And then we also
Yeah.
But the
delayed the,
reason-
payments for
Oh, dude, and then see, let's talk terms, dude. We delayed the payment for 4 months on this thing
Yeah.
to cover all the repairs that needed to be done.
I love it.
That's pretty cool. That's why I like that deal.
And why did it work? Because we had a clear plan and we pitched them on it.
Mhm.
And that's what like you go. That's what you can gloss
Confidence.
over. It's saying like,
Confidence.
hey, maybe we could do this. and
No, it's because
fine.
we made it a win-win. We gave them every single thing they needed to move on with life.
Mhm.
So like we
Yeah.
just
But you delivered it with confidence and a plan that says we're gonna get you. This gets you where you want to go.
dude,
and
he
we will
delivered it with a
deliver.
lot of confidence. His ego is huge.
I know. He just walks. You can't walk in the door really.
So mean.
All right, so let's wrap up the deals
Oh,
conversation.
wait, one more
for this.
deal. You did more deals after this, right? Well-
Found a
Yeah,
flip?
we just closed on State Street house.
How'd you do that deal?
I found this house that had a pretty big back lot, and I sent it to Trevor, and I said, I want to buy this, but I don't want to put a lot of money down. And he called the broker and pitched him on an idea, and then they took it. And
Oh
so
my goodness! How much did they carry on it initially, Trevor? How much did you ask them to carry initially?
I think it was,
I don't know.
I think it was 70.
It was
something?
$60,000.
Yeah, 60.
How much did they end up carrying?
118,000.
So Trevor had a clear plan. The math might have been done wrong, and then he said, "Hey, my bad on that. I forgot that we were doing another thing, which is rehabbing the house, and we have
Oh.
to pay for that as well.
Yeah.
And so we need you to carry twice the amount that I told you we needed to carry. Still same plan though, just different numbers to it. And the seller was like, "Yeah, this
Okay.
this is the best option. It feels like."
All right, to wrap it up, I'll break it down for you. So what you did on that deal, he bought this deal, right? He went.
So excited! I love it. Go for it. Yeah.
This is my favorite part.
It
creative deal.
is. Yeah.
So he bought this house. He needed to rehab it. We had him carry whatever, 118 grand. We used a DSCR loan. We secured the 118 grand as a line of credit to another house he had because he's bought a bunch of real estate. He has other real estate he can secure it against. So we went and got that at like 4%. So now he had all the money to go rehab the house. Didn't have to be, any money into it. And then now you're fixing the whole thing up and turning it to a rental or something, right?
Yep. So we used the money for the down payment to pay ourselves back for the down payment, and then we're using it to rehab the house, and then it's probably 2 weeks out from being finished, so we'll rent it out and it'll cover the debt.
Yeah. So the cool part is about that is once you start acquiring assets, you can start using these other assets creatively to do more deals on top of it. If you didn't have another house, you couldn't have done that deal.
No.
You have to stack. You need to stack assets, stack equity, stack resources, and then you scale to reduce risk. Has to be done.
So I don't know. I'm impressed by it. So Jaryn's bought more real estate by this point than I did, and people think I went fast and did it young. So when you think you're going slow, you're going faster than I was by a lot.
And he's faster than everyone I know.
And you know way more than I do when I was that old. I didn't know what seller carry was when I was 23.
Yeah, he was 23 and a half.
So that's pretty impressive, dude.
So we're going to do a coaching. I think this is a great, we started to kind of segue into it. You got some partnerships going on, so things are changing. Do we want to take a pee break, or are we just going to go? Okay.
Yeah. Well, do you know, to lead into that, you don't know what you want to do next, really, right? You're trying to figure out your future path because you feel like you're going slow, you need more money and more deals, and you're kind of stuck, right?
Yeah, I kind of want to jump up and get into a new stadium.
Are we doing a
All right.
Jaryn's transition episode?
Jaryn's transition. Mike is going to help you figure out a plan and do some free coaching. Actually, we're going to charge you. You owe Mike 20 grand after this podcast.
You can pay it off with drinks at Creekside.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're sorry Gabe wasn't here today. We hope that was entertaining still, even though he's the host. Gabe, if you listen to this, we hope you enjoyed it. You're who we really made this for. Like and share the podcast. Send it to some friends, and we'll keep doing it. Anything else you guys gotta say?
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
That's really good.
Like
Cool.
and subscribe. Turn on notifications.
Ooh.
I think we're
Yeah.
supposed to say that too.
Now you're just talking too much. We'll see you guys later.